Hello, and welcome back to my podcast, Pulling Back the Curtain with Vinny Ali, a deep dive into the creative mind. Today, we're joined by a friend of the show, Nick. I don't know how to pronounce your last name properly. Please teach us.
My name is Nick Colletta, and you pronounce it the way it is spelled if you do it through the hyphens. Colletta, Colletta, T-A, Colletta.
Colletta.
I have gotten my name hacked for 66 years, so do not be afraid to hack it. And every time I get on the phone with somebody, like yesterday, I had to get my dryer fixed, and I asked the gentleman his name, and he told me, I said, spell that for me because I want to make sure that I pronounce your name the proper way because I have gone through my life with people hacking my name. And it's okay. I mean, it's understandable, especially since when my grandfather came to this country, they misspelled his name at Ellis Island. My name is actually, the last name is actually only supposed to be spelled with one L, but they added an extra L. So I've gone through my life with my name not really spelt the right way, but
Here you are.
here I am.
Well, I always like people to say their name properly because, out of respect. I have this thing where I say, I want to say your name is this. I know it's wrong, but I want to say it this way. So I always like to let the chef show me how it's presented first, and then I put my little flair on it. Anyway, folks, this is Nick Colletta, and he's joining us today. Now, Nick, can you please tell us who you are, how we know each other, and why should people pay attention to you?
Well, my name is Nick Colletta, and I am a Philadelphia actor, comedian. I've been doing stand-up comedy since 1988. And I met you, Vinny, doing a table read. We were two struggling Philadelphia actors, as all actors from Philadelphia are.
Facts.
Because all the work is basically in New York. We met at Huey Loftus Casting doing a table read. And I seem to hit it off with you more so than everybody else around the table. And we stayed friends on Facebook, and we're always interested in each other's career and always championed each other, which I think, unfortunately, in that business and in the stand-up comedy business, it just doesn't happen because of people's jealousies. And I've always championed fellow actors, fellow comedians, because, especially at my age now, I'll be 66 in like 7 weeks.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you. You realize as you get older that the most important thing in your life is your relationships, one with your spouse, if you're married, your girlfriend, your partner, whoever. That's the most important relationship. Then comes your children, then comes your friends. And unfortunately in life, you have to do what I call is weed the garden. And that is take out the people that bring in negative energy. And there's a quote that I sort of live by now, that the peace I receive from the absence from you in my life is worth whatever you want to say about me. So the people that are trying to bring you down, ignore, because for some reason, especially in today's climate, nobody wants to see anybody do well because of jealousy. And that, to me, is the biggest sin on this planet.
Yeah. What's funny to me is when you're an actor, you're always told it's a collaboration. I can't succeed unless you succeed. And I like what, I can't remember exactly, there's so many people that say it, but my success is your success is my success. And I believe that's very true in this world. And I did feel like we vibed together, and we've always kind of crossed paths with each other in the acting realm in some capacity. I keep seeing you at the same auditions I'm at. However, we just can't seem to be in the same room at the same time, like working together, which is a shame. I mean, I feel like we did have a nice vibe that one day, and Nick has been very kind to constantly check on me, and I could stand to check on you more. That was something I'm working on. Because as you say, relationships are what keeps us whole. And I've been very grateful and gracious because, whenever I post something on whatever social media, Nick's one of the first people to champion me. And if he posts something, I champion him. I try to. I'm not as diligent as I could be on the social medias because, well, I'm a dinosaur. I am a dinosaur. I want to go in, do the job, go home, hired gun, as it were, when it comes to projects. It's just how I am because I'm so hungry and desperate to move forward with my career. But what's nice when I talk to Nick is he reminds me, maybe take a second and think about other things that are important in your life. And I'm grateful for that. Now, friends of the show know that this is a multifaceted platform. We're here to get the glimpse behind the curtain, behind the man of the curtain, why they are the way they are, who they are, what brought them to this point in their life. And I've been really looking forward to having Nick in the booth for a minute. But like all things get in the way. So first of all, we want to say thank you for joining us. And thank you again, Millard Brown, for opening Three Sun Studios to us. We are back in business, baby. This is the first studio space we were in when we first started the show in 2020. So this episode's pretty darn special, I want to say.
Yes, I also would like to thank Miller for having us. This gentleman here that you cannot see is...
But you can feel.
Yeah, you could feel. He is the type of guy that if you would see, you would feel calm around. He's a deadhead. So that...
Well, we should explain that to the folks at home.
Yeah, for the younger generation, the Grateful Dead is a band, and most of the people that follow the Grateful Dead are kind people. They're people that seek peace in the world, and this gentleman exudes that. You could just look at him and know that if you needed help, he would be there for you. As soon as I walked in the studio today and I saw him, and I saw the Martin guitar poster he has on his wall, I knew right away I was in good hands. Getting back to what you had said earlier about social media, I did not get on Facebook until 2015. I am not a social media guy. Like I said, I'll be 66 years old soon. The whole thing with social media to me is look at me, look at me, look at me. And that's not who I am. I like to live in a gray area. I pop my head out from the ground and take a look around every now and then, but I like to be underground. I have gotten back on Facebook. I went 2 years without even looking at Facebook. I'm back now because I'm promoting my one-man show, which is called Proud to be a Philadelphian. And unfortunately, I have to do social media for that. I have written so many emails and sent out so much stuff over Facebook and hitting people's posts with my show. And to be honest with you, I feel a little bad about that, me posting my stuff on their page. And I try not to do that. You know, being a stand-up comic, a lot of the comedians that I grew up with from the 80s till now, a lot of them post their jokes on Facebook. And to be honest with you, I really think that is something that they should reconsider doing, because I'm an organic guy. I do not want to give my material out and then have you come to my show and hear it again. It's not organic. You're not going to experience the laugh of hearing it for the first time if you saw me perform it on Facebook. So I have never, ever put a joke of mine on Facebook for that reason. And I'm not up in the TikTok. I got on the Instagram. I don't know how to work anything. I have a 10-year-old granddaughter. When she comes over my house, she shows me how to work everything. My wife, like I said, my wife is younger than I am. She handles all my social media stuff. She sends out my emails. She does everything for me. And I'm lost in this world. And to be honest with you, I sort of like being lost in this world, because I don't think it's a good world.
It's a challenging world. And as they say, not all who wander are lost. And I feel like because the world is so vast, we need people that can see everything. We need people that see nothing. And we have those that choose to see what they don't see. Because we're all multifaceted and we all contribute to this universe that we live in. And I understand your hesitation with technology. It's depressing. It's immensely depressing. For instance, I'll go on and I'll see like, oh, Joe Rogan has this episode up here, which is great. I'm happy for him. I have Brian Taylor Cohen over here. I have all these great established podcasters. And here's me putting away with pulling back the curtain. And I'll get, a couple hits here and there. And it's embarrassing sometimes to tell people like, hey, I'm going to go do a recording. But you know what? They put in their time, they hit their stride, they found their niche, and I should be happy for them. As Nick pointed out earlier, he champions me, I champion him. We should champion the successful as well, because it means there's opportunity for us. I'm not sure where I'm going with this, but I understand your frustration with social media. I often wonder, am I going to go see this movie because this person is a social media icon? Or am I going to go sue this person because I know they're a quality performer? I've seen their work in prior films and prior shorts and prior plays. That's what I care about. Can you bring the goods when you get on stage, in front of the microphone, in front of the camera? But now anyone can get in front of the camera. And that's a good thing and not necessarily a bad thing as well.
I agree with basically what you just said. And when I had said about the TikTok, hey, listen, if a kid can sit in his mother's basement and make a couple $100,000 a year, good for him.
For sure.
Good for him. It's better than working for a corporation that does not care about you. You're wearing one of my shirts.
Sure am. Proud to be a Philadelphian.
Proud to be a Philadelphian. I sell shirts online. If you go to proudtobeaphilidelphian.com, you could see the shirts.
We'll put the posting in the link. Don't worry.
I appreciate that. And I sell that merch. And people that are able to go through this technological highway and make money, I'm happy for them. But I've had friends of mine when I said, hey, listen, I have shirts I'm selling. Oh, you're going to give me a free one, or do I get a discount?
Mm-hmm.
And I say to them, wait a minute. I have been your friend for 50 years. That's when I say about weeding your garden. I weed out the people that are not, but I still have friends that I went to grade school with. And they ask me for a discount, and I say to them, you get packages delivered every day from Amazon, and you give a man, a trillionaire, money every week, and he uses your money to get into a rocket ship, go up into orbit, look down on you, and come right back down. But yet, me being a friend of yours for 50 years, you're hesitant to part with a couple dollars. That doesn't make sense to me. I let it go. It's water under the bridge, you're my friend. You don't want to spend the money. I'm cool with that. I'm okay with that. But you cannot honor your friendship with somebody by asking them for something free or not support them when they're trying to kick something off. And you go and support these big corporations that don't care about you. They don't care about you. I'm out of politics. Both parties, they do not care about us. We are not Verizon. We are not ExxonMobil. We are not a big corporation. We're just little parts of the machine to keep the machine going. And once people start realizing that, and instead of affiliating themselves with a certain party and having us divided, which is exactly what they want, we're never going to be able to make this earth better. Everything's connected, and people don't understand that. I mean, in this room now, there's atoms and molecules swirling around. So we're connected with everything in this room. We step outside. We get connected with the trees, the plants, the grass. Everything's connected in this universe. And people just don't understand that. And to not love and feel empathy for your neighbor, that just blows my mind. And like I said earlier to you before we got on the air, most of my life is in my rear view mirror. What I have in the front windshield, I want to try to live the right way now. I think COVID was probably one of the best things that happened to me. Now, I say that with all the sadness and empathy for everybody that got sick and all that, but it forced me to be inside my house. I am a type 1 diabetic, so I had to be very careful where I went. And when we shut down, I had just gotten back from Brooklyn filming for Vanity Fair. My acting career was starting to take off. Then we get shut down with COVID. So I'm inside my house for almost a year. Mm-hmm. And solitude is so important to the soul because you find out what you really are. You find out what you are made of. And I found out that I had great empathy that I didn't realize I had. I got hooked on watching soldiers come home from war and greeting their family members. I was crying my eyes out. Mm-hmm. I was crying my eyes out with pregnancy announcements. When a girl would tell her parents that she was pregnant and they were going to be grandparents, I was bawling my eyes out. And to any man out there, you need to cry. You need to cry. There's nothing wrong with it. Real men do cry. And it's just you finding your true self. And during that period when I was locked up in my house, I really think I discovered my true self.
No, that makes a lot. Yeah. People go their whole lives looking outwards to find out who they are. But as monks, Musashi, would, I'm butchering words so much today. But what I'm going to say is there is an importance of looking inward to all the answers to the universe, allowing your time to just come together. And I will say that I too went through that with being inside the house, watching soldiers come home. That was a big video for me. The pregnancies to their children, and then the soldiers coming home to their pets and stuff like that. Because I wanted to feel things, and you're right. Because we have so much distracting us, it's hard to like really find out who you truly are. There was a video I saw, a young man who's like, "You want to know how you can tell how good a businessman is? Have an Australian sit in the meeting." And then they're like, "Oh, I went to Harvard." And the Australian says, "I don't know what that is." You take away that one thing they attach themselves to, and you see who they truly are. And I feel like you went through a huge metamorphosis that a lot of people can relate to. Because you take away the one thing that they do all the time, which is be out in the world, and you're alone with your thoughts. What do you have? And I think that with the pandemic, a lot has changed. I mean, I'm seeing more. I'm not going to get too political because that's not the point of the show, but a lot of workers are seeing the value of their time, their work-life balance as being more important than ever. I myself come from two immigrants. Well, one half immigrant. Mom was born in Philly, but her parents are from Italy. And you didn't say no to work. You work when there's work. You work till you can't go work no more. But because of the pandemic and because my mom retired, she says to me, "Do you really need to work today, son? It's a beautiful day. You've been working 6, 7 days in a row. Take the day off. You're tired. You need to sleep." And it's important that we do that for ourselves. Not just give our souls to our jobs, give our souls to our passion, but have some left for our own personal life, or what's really important. At the end of the day, you didn't make all that money before you died. What's your relationship like with your parents, with your spouse, with your friends, with your kids? That's what's going to last. That's what's going to outlive you. I always believe you need to go to bed with a clean conscience. So that's what I think about every time I go to work, every time I live my life. Did I do good by the world, or did I just muck it up? Go on, talk. I don't know what I was talking about.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Listen, people wear masks. Everybody has a mask on.
All the time.
Everybody tries to present themselves to what they feel the public wants or how they feel that will make them look good.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not the truth. You should be, if you see something wrong, you have to say it is wrong. You cannot let it get by and not speak up. If you see somebody being mistreated, I feel it's your duty as a human being to step in and say, "Why are you talking to that person like that? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that?" We are here once.
Yeah.
We are here once on this planet. You have to make peace. This is what we're here for. Everybody talks, I'm not a religious person. People talk about heaven and hell. People talk about God and the devil. Heaven and hell, God and the devil are in you already. What are you going to bring out? What are you going to bring out of yourself? Are you going to bring out, as they say, good with God in heaven or bad with the devil in hell? What are you going to bring out of yourself? You have to bring out the good, because it will only be paid forward to you. My stepdad was actually my real father in my life. My father had abandoned his family when I was a young child. And a gentleman came in, married my mother, and I always called him Dad. And he left me his estate, and I was given direction on who to give money to when I settled the estate. And he had told me how much money to give each person. Well, I pretty much doubled it because actually I felt guilty of getting the money. And I'm not saying this to pat myself on the back. I'm not an egomaniac. I'm not narcissistic or anything like that. But when I saw somebody, I went to a funeral and I saw a friend of mine at the funeral, and he's wearing a suit that he shouldn't be wearing at a funeral. And I pulled him alongside and I said, I'm going to call you next week. We're going to go out. I took him, and I always wanted to do this. I think I saw it from Entourage, the show. Remember that show?
Oh, yes, very much.
And I went clothes shopping with him. Mm. And I paid for everything. I had the money. Don't you know, after I paid for his suit and everything like that, 2 weeks later, I hit the lottery for almost as much money as I spent on his suit. The more you give, the more you get back. And that is a fact. Yeah. That is an absolute fact. If you open the door for an older woman, right?
Yeah.
I guarantee you later on during the day, somebody is going to pay it forward to you in some kind of way. In some kind of way, it's going to be paid forward. It's just the way we're spinning, the way our planet is spinning around in this universe. Everything's going forward. So if everybody pays something forward, it's going to come back to you.
Yeah. I hear you. And I think that it's important. Life is very vast and crazy. And sometimes we get lost in the muck of it all because all we see is the negative, get one over on the other guy. But it's nice when people do something kind for you, just for the sake of it. Why not? There's enough bad in the world, I always say. Why not put some good? And yeah, it's the reason I'm having trouble thinking is this conversation is vast, and it should be. It's thought-provoking, and that's what I hope to show in the world. You've been very fortunate with your career, with finding a wonderful partner that accepts you for you and empowers you. You're able to help that friend out. And it's nice to hear that people are actually putting some good into the world. And your story, your one-man show is what really intrigues me, because you are trying to show that Philadelphia is a lot more of value than people give it credit for.
I read a lot of inspirational quotes. I get them in my emails. And one, I brought some with me today to give to you, for you to put in your room and hang up in your room and look at them every day and think about them. And the one by Maya Angelou really sticks with me. And I read this quote years ago. And it says, "There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. There's no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you." My untold story was about my city of Philadelphia that I have lived in my whole life.
Yes.
And the story is that Philadelphians will back me up on this. I'm telling the truth here. For some reason, we are hated in this country. And every city has a couple knuckleheads that do something that could make that a tool for other people to use against us. When I was a kid, I've always heard Philadelphia, talking about a couple neighborhoods in the city. And every city in this country has that same neighborhood that Philadelphia has. You would hear all the negativity about our city. And it was burning inside me. It always burned inside me about hearing trash talk about Philadelphia. In 2023, New Year's Eve, I made a resolution that I was going to write a show about the haters of Philadelphia. It's actually a Philadelphian claps back at the outsiders that hates his city. And I go through the brief history of Philadelphia, and I go through all the great things that Philadelphia has done for America. And everything, and I do mean everything, started in Philadelphia. Everything started in Philadelphia. From going through our freedom, the development of America. We started the whole money system. We had the first mint, we had the first bank, we had the first stock exchange. No, New York, it wasn't you, it was Philadelphia. You want to go through the whole medical system. We started the medical system. We had the first hospital in the United States, the UOP. We had the first school of pharmacy, the Philadelphia College of Pharmacy. We had the first children's hospital of Philadelphia, or as we Philadelphians call it, CHOP. We had the first hospital dedicated to the eye, the Wills Eye Hospital. We had the first historic medical library at the UOP. So if the outsiders from Philadelphia needed to know anything about medicine, they came to Philadelphia to find out about it. Dr. Physics was the top surgeon at the UOP. He was an amazing surgeon back in the day. He invented a lot of things to help procedures performing surgery. Philadelphia started everything. We're talking to our engineer Miller about the ENIAC. I believe that's how it is. ENIAC. Thank you, sir. Mm-hmm. The ENIAC computer was a computer at the UOP back in the 30s, maybe early 40s. The first computer in the world. And Miller was telling me about how the rooms were filled with these big tubes. And he educated me today. And today was a successful day for me because any day that you can learn something is a good day. And he told me about the computer bug, a bug in your computer. He said a moth flew in and got into the computer system. Hence, that's where you get the computer bug. And I learned that today. 66 years old, and I learned something new today, and I am so happy. When I drive home today, I will be thinking about that. That computer back in the day at the UOP started everything. That little device everybody is watching us on now, listening to us on now, everything about that started here in Philadelphia. It all started in Philadelphia. Everything in this country, the inventions, the food. Our city is so responsible for everything. It just amazes me. And then we have to absorb all the hate from the outsiders from a couple incidents that happened maybe 50, 60 years ago. We still hear about it. And I said to you before, Vin, I said, we are the stepchild of America. We're in between Washington. We're in between New York. New York has the great Broadway theaters. Well, do you know the first theater in America was the Walnut Street Theater here in Philadelphia? It is the longest continuously activated theater in the history of America. It was the first theater in America before Broadway. Still operating today. We never get credit for anything that we have given this country.
It's much more attractive to hear about the negative things. That's what media has instilled in us. But it's nice to see that when you first started talking, I was like, oh boy, this is going to be one hell of a show because you are so pride filled. And I don't get to experience people that are so proud of where they're from and what they talk about in such a long time. It's polarizing, but it's also refreshing because you are who you are. Take me or leave me. And if anyone knows me, I used to be way more like that. But because of the pandemic and having to be alone with myself, I started wondering, is it okay to be this way? So I'm kind of like teetering back and forth between this very gentle, non, threatening person, just whatever, to being who I used to be, this crazy, acting's my passion. This is all I'll ever be. I'll never do anything else in my life. So it's kind of like, is that what I sound like when I was a kid? I mean, did I have those cojones the size of tiger? And then I'm like, yeah, I was like that. I still am like that. So talking to you is kind of like this therapeutic, interesting retrospect of my life. I mean, I'm very grateful you're here because I've been very quiet because I'm absorbing all this stuff that you have to say. And it's just like, it's fascinating to me. You say it like it is. You are who you are. Sorry, you talk. I listen.
No. It's a two-way conversation here. You're going to find out. I have a few years on you.
Sure.
You're going to find out the older you get, the less filtered you're going to be. And Miller, I'm sure you could agree with me that is the greatest feeling in life is having no filter. Stop with the BS. Mm-hmm. Stop with the BS. I am going to tell you the truth and the way I feel. See, a lot of people say Philadelphians are rude. Mm-hmm. We're not rude. We're honest.
Yeah.
We are honest people.
Yeah.
There's a difference. And people don't understand that difference. No. Philadelphians don't lie. Most Philadelphians will not lie to you. They will tell you the truth. Hey, I don't like that. Yeah. Hey, I like that. Whatever. We don't lie. I don't. And like I said to you, I'm older than you. When you get to be around my age, you will just have time in your life. Every second from now on, going forward in my life, is valuable.
Yeah.
That is the thing about life that people don't understand.
No.
Money, I could give you $500.
Great.
And you can give that back to me. Today, you and Miller are giving me your time.
Yeah.
You will never get that back.
No.
That is more important in life. As you get older, that you will realize it's the most important thing in your life is time. So you have to not waste any of it.
Yeah.
You have to be very disciplined with your time.
Yeah.
And like I said, you weed out the toxic people in your life. Mm-hmm. You don't need them. You don't need anybody's approval. They're only going to bring you down.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see you climb the ladder. What happens when you get to the top of the ladder? They're all there on your pant leg pulling you down.
Yeah.
So that's what happens in this life. So you got to go about it by not being braggadocious, not being egotistical, and just living life. And as me and you do, and everybody on this planet should do, is champion each other. Yeah. You have guys now in this world that want to be king by having the most money. What good is having the most money? When I was talking about the gentleman that owns the big company everybody gets their packages delivered to, that man has enough money to feed the world 5 to 6 times over. What are you doing? What are you doing with all that money?
Yeah.
What do you go? So you could puff your chest out and say you're the richest? You're still going to die.
Yeah.
You're still going to die. You can't take it with you. You're still going to die. Set up generations of your family? Fine. I can understand that. But listen, you got plenty to be handing it out. So start handing that money out. All these big billion and not even, when we were kids, to be a millionaire was a big thing.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's a trillionaire.
Yeah. When I was young, when you made your millionaire, you were good. You didn't need to worry about money. You had, I can do what I want money. Okay, you know what? Fuck it. We can say fuck on this show. So this is fuck you money. You make $1 million, you get that 6 figures, you are good. You buy yourself a nice little house with plenty of land. You put into investments that bring you assets that continue bringing you money, and you can just enjoy your life. Nowadays, there's this push for women to seek out men that are 6 feet tall, have 6 figures in their bank account, and they bring... Wait, no, we're not going to go down that route. We're not going to go down that route. That's not what we're doing today. No. What I'm trying to say is my mom always pushed that if you have time on your hands, live your life. You don't need to have $1 million to be happy, son. Just be happy with what you have.